Dr. Carson, thank you for your lifetime of service and your willingness to serve again. Please don't take any disrespect for my absence here in the better part of this meeting. I have an Armed Service Committee going at the same time with General Mattis. It strikes me, I'm incredibly impressed with the nominations of this president-elect, and you're not the least of those by any means. I have always admired your heart for humanity, and in our meeting earlier this week, I could see that. One of my first jobs, Doctor, was in a Head Start program, and I learned early when I put people around me to judge their hearts, and I think President-elect Trump did a great job in your nomination for this.
Thank you.
I'm amazed with your quotes here. We don't need to help people achieve a position where we feel good about. Rather, we need to put people in a situation that they feel good about. Would you elaborate on that, please?
Yeah, well, in many cases, over the years, bureaucrats, politicians, no offense, have just, done things that make themselves feel good and pat themselves on the back, and we took care of this problem, when in fact, you go and you look at the people, and they're living in squalor and dilapidated places, and there's danger, and you go outside, you're worried about whether your kid's going to come back safe. We need to be looking at the end product rather than the beginning of the process. That's what I'm talking about.
You had mentioned public-private partnerships. In USAID, I've served on the Foreign Relations Committee, and one of the great successes is Power Africa, where we put $8 billion up of U.S. taxpayer money, and we attracted over $40 billion of private money to power a significant portion of Africa over the next decade. Talk to us a little bit about your vision about how you can get the private sector involved with government to help heal our cities and develop. You had mentioned the other thing, too, housing and urban development. In our private conversation, you spent more time talking with me about development, and I'd like you to elaborate on that as it relates to the private investment.
Sure. Well, we've got a lot of very talented people in this country in the private sector, and the low-income housing tax credit is an excellent example. It's seen over by the Congressional Finance Committee. But, that has allowed an enormous number of places to be renovated. And there's plenty more where that comes from. In Detroit, I was talking to a private developer recently about some of the work they were doing with blight. And, it was costing $16,500 per building. They came in and working with recycling organization were able to take the buildings down for $5,500. That was a way of using the private sector in a very positive way to clear large amounts of the city. Those are the kinds of things that we need to look for. There's a lot of money in the private sector. There's a lot of goodwill in the private sector. And I want to work on those programs, and I want to study those programs that are working so that we can multiply them across the country.
Well, thank you again for your answers. Mr. Chairman, thank you, and God bless you for your willingness to do this. Thank you.
Thank you.